Good afternoon, friends. A warm welcome to Mr. Shin Bong-kil, the Ambassador of the Republic of Korea, popularly known in our part of the world as South Korea, but it's ROK. Thanks very much, Ambassador, for so readily accepting our invitation and agreeing to talk to the foreign media. The Foreign Correspondents Club is a 60-year-old club, one of the oldest in South Asia, and we are celebrating our 60th anniversary. The Vice President of India launched the celebrations. This is going to be a year-long affair. We have about 850 members. 350 of them work for the foreign media. That includes Indians as well as foreigners. And then more than 300 are Indian journalists working for the Indian media. Friends, this is going to go live on Facebook and on YouTube, and it will go onto our website and all that. May I request you to kindly switch off your mobiles so that there is no disturbance of any kind. Thank you very much. Ambassador Bong-kil is, or Shin Bong-kil as they would call in that part of the world, has been a career diplomat. He spent 4 decades in the foreign service, and he has also taught. He was educated in his country, and he has spent some time in China. He has also worked as ambassador of his country in Jordan and China, and he has been actively involved in doing things for bringing North Korea and South Korea together. And I'm sure he's going to share with us his experiences and the dramatic developments we have witnessed in recent past, and the summit between the President of the United States and the North Korean leader. And congratulations to the President of South Korea for taking the initiative. And we look forward to getting some details about the possible denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula from His Excellency. May I now invite you, Excellency, to make your presentation.
Thank you, President Narayan, and I first would like to thank inviting me to this prestigious club. And with regard to our President Moon Jae-in's visit to this country, I just would like to say that it was a remarkably very successful visit. And I think he made a new momentum to upgrade the level of our overall relationship with India, and also and it was a milestone to re-energize the partnership between Korea and India. And also he was very happy to establish a personal bond and trust with the prominent leader, Prime Minister Modi. And as you may have witnessed, he was treated very well. He got a very warm welcome by India in overall. He could meet Prime Minister Modi 11 times. That Prime Minister Modi accompanied my president all the official and unofficial activities. That was really remarkable, as we see that Prime Minister Modi is such a busy person that he could accompany 11 different activities of my president. And I was also very much surprised to see all these big photographs of my president at many parts of this city. And also, I was very much moved all these big press coverage by Indian media. And also, this visit will and also has contributed to generate substance in our two countries' relationship. As they, my President and Prime Minister Modi together participating in the inauguration of the new Samsung electronics factory. Samsung says that this is the world's biggest mobile phone manufacturing factory. That they say that the capacity is 120 million unit in a year. 120 million unit is, that means that monthly basis they can produce 10 million units of smartphones every month. And also Korea's another auto company, Kia, is building a new factory in Andhra Pradesh, and that also amounts, the capacity is 300,000 unit per year. So combined with already existing Hyundai Motors 700 unit capacity, 700 unit per year capacity, it's almost the Hyundai and its sister company Kia can produce automobile in India 1 million unit in India. And there was an important interaction with the business community of India. Actually, with this presidential visit, more than 100 official business leaders accompanied the president. But combined to unofficial, I think almost 500 Korean business were here at the presidential visit. If we combine more than 100 strong media people from Korea and almost 100 Korean government officials, then I think at one moment there was 700 or 800 Korean either government officials or media people or businessmen were here, occupying all these five-star hotels in Delhi. And there was quite an exchange of, with Indian businesses. When the Prime Minister Modi and my president together chaired a meeting from the two sides, selected top business leaders from 12 Korea, from India, 12. The top business leaders were almost all the top business leaders of two countries were there. From Korea, Samsung, Hyundai, LG, or other top business leaders were there. And from India, Reliance, and also the chairman of the Korea-India CEO Roundtable, the chairman of Edelweiss Group, and also Mahindra chairman, and others very important 12 top business leaders of India also participate there. So it was quite a substantial kind of exchanges between the two business community of India and China. I'll just stop here and happy to take questions if you have anything with regard to the President's visit or any other questions with regard to the Korean Peninsula.
He has a prepared text and it's here after the event is over. You can collect the copies. Now questions. Tripti, just hold on. Please take a microphone.
Good afternoon, Ambassador, and welcome to the Foreign Correspondents Club. I represent the Asahi Shimbun, Japan's leading newspaper. I think there's been reasonable interest shown by your government in opening up business in the high-speed railway sector. Do the Japanese have any reason to be worried about this? Because there's now a lot of competition coming in the high speed. It's not just the Shinkansen, the French, the Chinese, and now the Koreans are taking interest. At what stage are your negotiations with the Indian government on opening up high speed? And are you looking at a certain state, like south, north, west, east, where? Thanks.
When you speak, earlier you say, what can I? What was your? You say, I'm very sorry. You can without using mic.
I'll tell you, Excellency. So what she's saying is that railways figured prominently, high-speed trains, collaboration between India and South Korea. She works for a Japanese newspaper, and bullet train is being talked about between Surat and Bombay. She wants to know whether the Japanese will have to be worried because the Koreans are getting into supplying high-speed trains to India.
Yes, yeah, I know the Japanese big project from Ahmedabad to Mumbai. I know it. And also, I think you noticed that my president and Prime Minister Modi took the tram from the downtown of New Delhi to Greater Noida area to participate in Samsung. And very interestingly, Prime Minister Modi introduced that this tram we are using is made by Korean company Hyundai Rotem, and also this particular section is constructed by Korean company Samsung Mulsan, and actually that tram was better than the tram which I use in Seoul, you see, tramway. Very good one. Are you Japanese?
No, I'm not Japanese.
But you see, very clean and very without any, very calm and clean and very wide. I was very much impressed. I didn't think that actually this was the first time that I used the Indian tram actually. And I know that talks are going on about possible Korean companies participating in the high-speed railway system building in India. And Korea has technology. And we have this high-speed railway system in Korea. And we, even though Korea is a much smaller country than India, we can, you see, start from Seoul to the southernmost city of Busan, and we can arrive there in 2.5 hours. This high-speed railway. Actually, we didn't have you see, this technology before establishing this this high-speed railway system. It was a couple of decades ago. We actually established this high-speed railway system with the help of French cooperation. Jointly established this high-speed railway system, and we transport this. We developed this technology, and we improved it. Now, if you come to Korea and you will witness, you take this high-speed railway. There was never any kind of problem there, and the speed is more than 200 kilometers an hour. So it's very, very. I think the highest modern technologies. We can compete. I think we can compete with Japan or Japan is. You see, are you Japanese? Oh yeah. 예? 일본 사람입니다. Oh, you speak Korean. I'm very surprised. 예. 예.
기술이 도입하고 싶은 생각하시고 있는지 그런 거에 대해 좀 하나.
Well, he says that India has a couple of 5 or 6 high-speed railway kind of project, and Korea has an interest to actively participate in this project. I think, of course, yeah. Why not? Huh? I think Korea can compete with Japan and any other countries in the world in technology-wise, and so it's still a beginning stage. But I know that KTX are talking with Indian related authorities the possibility of participating this project.
So you are saying it's not just Japan, but the whole world. The Koreans are coming to India, watch out or something. Vijay.
I'm Vijay Naik. I'm from Sakal Media Group of Bombay. I have 2 short questions to you, Excellency. One is that how hopeful are you about the complete denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula? And secondly, what are your thoughts about the unification of North and South Korea? When is likely to be achieved? As Germany achieved in 1992. When is Korea coming together? Thank you.
Yeah, actually, this was asked by the Prime Minister Modi at the summit meeting to with my president. And my president, he answered that, of course, there will be some obstacles and ups and downs with this complete denuclearization of Korean Peninsula. But he said that, my president said that overall he is optimistic. Overall he's optimistic. He reiterated his belief at his Singapore lecture. I think it was today or yesterday. Anyway, I personally, I am also rather optimistic because this time it's different with previous negotiations. Why? I personally think I can elaborate a couple of different elements. The one is that I feel the political will of top players, including South Korean president and North Korean president and Donald Trump, whatever of their purpose, including, I think, President Xi Jinping of China, there is a political will that we should solve this North Korean nuclear issue. We cannot just endure this kind of thorny issue anymore. And the second is that North Korea, I think, as they profess that they achieved a certain amount of nuclear capacity. That is different. For example, at the Geneva Agreement, or 2002 and 2018, because they have a certain, achieved a certain level of nuclear capacity. They have a leverage. They are much more serious than before. 10 years ago, they couldn't still reach a level of nuclear capacity. Whenever they say, whatever they say, but they didn't have a genuine or serious kind of mind. But because they arrived at a certain stage, they are serious. And other elements, North Korea has no other way, you see. They face real serious economic sanction from all over the world. And I think North Korean leader, the young leader, also feels and that North Korea cannot go on as it is. If they don't find any kind of exit, then North Korea may collapse. Huh? I think these kind of elements contribute to the, I think, final denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula. I think it's different with 10 years ago or 20 years ago. It's everybody is more serious, and the top leaders, they came out, and at the Singapore summit from between Trump and Kim Jong-un, North Korea, they themselves, with all the audiences of the world, they professed that they will commit to the complete denuclearization. This time, if they fail, then I think they lose their face, and I think they will lose their credibility and credibility of himself and of their countries. They cannot betray. They will do, I think they will do their utmost to succeed.
That's great news. We are actually hoping to have a dialogue between you and your North Korean counterpart one of these days. We hope you will find it convenient to come and talk to us. Okay? Colonel Sehgal? Yeah.
And unification.
Unification.
Unification. Is my president. Moon Jae-in is a real visionary, like Prime Minister Modi. He's a visionary. And he has a vision that political unification cannot come without economic integration. So his immediate goal is to integrate the two economies of South and North. So first achieve this economic integration, then after that go to the political integration. And this is his vision. And if we can achieve this denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula, then I think that the integration process between the South and North will go very smoothly. And we can achieve it if this nuclear issue be resolved. Then I think, economic integration be achieved at the Korean Peninsula. I think there can be a political implication, integration can follow it.
Mr. Sehgal.
Ambassador, my name is Vinod Sehgal. I'm a retired Army General. My question to you is, do you think that regardless of how the talks proceed towards denuclearization, an element of irreversibility has already come in? And I elaborate that by sending a lot of people of North to South Korea for various events and allowing the orchestras to come, this is unprecedented, which means what is happening in the world, and especially in South Korea, and the levels that South Korea has reached, is now infiltrating into the North, which no North Korean leader was previously permitting. This is an opening which is irreversible because you can't go back. Second is that the North Korean leader, having gone outside North Korea and received so much world publicity, everybody is human. I think he cannot go back. Your views on this, Ambassador?
I agree with you. General, I very much agree with your opinion that this opening process cannot, you see, be irreversible. I mean, you see, they cannot go back to the, you see, this denuclearization, you see, whatever CVID, this kind of, I think this is not important. The important thing is that North Korea has really serious on this negotiation, or they have a genuine kind of intention to denuclearize North Korea. That is more important. Whatever you agree on CVID or whatever kind of, it's useless if you don't have a real kind of intention. If you want to cheat it, then whatever kind of agreement, it can be just discarded. So important thing is a trend and this process. And as the general has rightly pointed out, that this opening process and the marketization process of North Korea, it is irreversible. I think they cannot go back. Yeah, thank you.
Smita Sharma.
Ambassador Smita Sharma from the Tribune. Two quick questions. One, why would North Korea really sort of, you of course said that they have economic considerations, they might just collapse, but at the end of the day, you also have a Trump administration today that has pulled out of an Iran nuclear deal, which was hammered out after so many years of negotiations. So what really would lead to trusting the US on issues of nuclear agreements? And B, I believe your president told Prime Minister Modi that he would like to see India play a significant role in the peninsula. India has also said that it could do anything possible to reduce tensions. Is there any specific role in mind that you have that India could possibly play in the Korean peninsula tensions?
Well, you see, when North Korea came out to the negotiation table, I think South Korean president played an important role. That actually North Korea wanted to talk with the United States, but North Korea couldn't believe in United States, and United States also couldn't believe in North Korea. But South Korean president played the role of, the meeting, that the two could meet with the with some kind of insurance from the South Korea. That I think that is important. The role of South Korean president facilitating this meeting and this process. And what is the Indians' role? I think India is a great country and global power already. And particularly after my president visit to India, it was extensively covered in Korean media. And everybody knows the power of India already. So whatever kind of constructive advice to North Korea, to South Korea, and to the world can influence this this important denuclearization process. Also, India has always maintained your diplomatic presence in Pyongyang, even though there was a strong kind of pressure from United States to cut relationship with North Korea. Still, your country maintained your embassy there, and you have the same kind of interest and concern with regard to the non-proliferation issue. Korea also has the same, the same interest that with regard to the non-proliferation area, India and Korea has the same interest. So I think India can play a serious role in this resolving Korean Peninsula nuclear issue.
Ranjit.
Ambassador, my question is on bilateral relations. Prime Minister Modi asked the Korean defense companies to invest in Indian defense sector under the Make in India program. So are the Korean defense companies seriously interested, like Samsung, to invest in India?
With regard to the defense industry, yes, Korean companies has a great interest in investing in India with the defense industry, and also using this Make in India idea. If you import already made defense items, it costs a lot actually with the high tariff. But India and Korean companies together invest in India, make a factory here, then I think it will be, of course, it will help both sides, the win-win game. And we think that we can use this India platform to make defense industry items here in India and export it to other countries. So Korea is ready to transfer technology to India with defense items. As you know, that Korea is under for a long time with under the pressure from North Korean threat, and we have we could develop many defense items, defense products, and I think technology is world top in some areas. So I think India-Korea's cooperation in defense field is, I think it has a real great future. And already some Indian industry, big names are talking with Korean companies. Talks are going on. I hope that it will make a real result here.
Yes, please.
Ambassador Shin, this is Pankaj Doval from Times of India. I just wanted to understand some areas, Korean companies are very big in electronics in India. But what are the other areas where you feel Korean companies can invest in India for the Make in India program? And what are the areas where you think Indian companies can go and invest in Korea? Which are the industries, which are the areas?
Yes, we hope, we would like to invite as many as investment of Indian companies. Already a couple of high-profile investment is there, like Mahindra bought Korean auto company Sangyong, and first couple of years it was not easy to make profit, but now Sangyong is making big success in developing a small SUV, and it is very much popular in Korea, and it sold a lot, and now Mahindra is making quite a big profit in investing in Sangyong auto. So I think it's and also for example, the Reliance, the Anil Ambani he is very enthusiastic in making a joint venture with Korean companies. He last couple of years he visited already 3 times to Seoul, and he visited personally my office already a couple of times. He has he is fixed in Korea. He is I know that Reliance is managed by 2 brothers, and the elder brother is a bigger kind of business, and the younger, this Anil Ambani, Chairman Anil Ambani, is exploring new areas in the Reliance, and his main target is with Korean companies, and he is already talking with 9 very important Korean companies, very seriously about making a joint venture. Or I'm very encouraged to this kind of and I'm encouraging him a lot. Yes, for example, solar energy and also infrastructure. For example, investing in the new building of new what is that? The airport facilities, or kind of, and also financial and also defense industry. A lot of items he has an interest. So that's good to say that economic cooperation should be both way, not one way, you see. And we would like to invite as many as Indian big companies to invest in Korea.
Yes, please.
Ambassador, my name is Vivian Fernandez, and I'm a freelance journalist. When I look back at the past 25 years, I find that South Korean consumer-facing companies like LG, Samsung, Hyundai, they have come up from nowhere and they found a lot of acceptance. But when I look at the infrastructure companies, for example, POSCO, it's not been able to make any headway. Do you think that while Indian market is attractive, the Indian government is a very difficult customer to do business with, number one, and number two, with as fickle and as transactional a president as Trump, do you think that the United States can be a guarantor of South Korean security?
Well, Indian market, yes, it is not such an easy market actually, and many medium-sized Korean companies are still visiting to India, and I meet them many, and they compare Indian market to Indian investment environment with other countries in ASEAN, like Vietnam or Indonesia. They say that the investment environment is here is more difficult than other areas. But you have such a big potential. You have such a huge, the consumer market, and also your economy is growing very fast compared to other countries. That's your India's big point, that India can grow like China maybe in 20 years. Many predict that India will be world G3 or G2. I see the great potential, and businessmen knows in their intuition, they know it. So, and also with the coming of Modi government, I think they are doing a lot. With the big leadership of Prime Minister Modi, this GST kind of thing is very important development. Without this GST, I think the Korean companies cannot easily invest in this country, because every different kind of tariffs and red tapes, and who can believe in who. But I think that with the coming of Modi government, many reforms and the GST, and it's encouraging a lot Korean companies. And POSCO, yes, POSCO was a big, I think, failure in investing in India. They sort of actually billions of dollars investing in Odisha. But local government and people opposed, they couldn't buy the land effectively. So they lost quite the money there. But they invest in other areas, like rather smaller scale than that, in Pune and other areas. But you see, recent couple of years, they are making profits in other factories. So it's very encouraging to us, even though the big failure in Odisha was well known, well advertised in Korea, and many that gave the Korean companies and Korean people the image that India is a real difficult place to invest. But now it's changing. And POSCO is also making money here, making profit.
Professor.
Professor D.S. Agrawal Yogi ji, I want to welcome you. I am a little late. Yoga Karmasu Kaushalam. Your country follows most of the yoga technique of India, and I think that played a role in bringing North and South together. Maybe I'm wrong, but this is my feeling, because yoga means coming together with the divine. So my question will be very brief. I'm concerned with the well-being of the world. So you have accepted our yoga, but we want you to also introduce our medicinal system, which is the Ayurvedic technique. So how can we do some work there? Because most of the company I work for, Dawar, Badnath, so there is a very difficult task to bring to that. But maybe that you can set up your manufacturing in India and export to South Korea or other countries, because there's a big demand in CIS countries and many countries. So this is one question. Second, housing. India is very expert in providing best infrastructure in buildings, one of the best in the world. So what is the opportunity to bring housing sector to South Korea? That's my short question, and I would like to welcome you with a small, very small garland. He can do it. There is a special Shiva. He can do it. There is Shiva inside, but I don't think it will go inside. It's too small.
Okay, okay, thank you. Shiva. I think the cooperation in the pharmaceutical or medical field, everybody knows that India is a huge market for medical items or pharmaceutical items, and some Korean companies has an interest in investing in India to buy a pharmaceutical company or themselves build pharmaceutical factory in India. They, as far as I know, the Celltrion, one of the biggest Korean pharmaceutical company, has an interest in and the CEO of the Celltrion has visited India to see the possibility of investing in India and possibly buying the acquisition of Indian pharmaceutical company. And what was your housing? And Korean government has earmarked 10 billion US dollars for kind of economic cooperation. 1 billion is EDSHEP. It's kind of ODA, Economic Development Cooperation Fund. And 9 billion is, what is that? 9 billion is very low rate lending money. And already one Korean company started project to build a apartment complex in Mumbai using this this earmarked money. And also, I think that Korea has a competitiveness in building housing project. I think this is also you see your smart city project. I think Korean company has a great interest.
Yes, please.
Good afternoon.
Succeed in the life.
Thank you.
Good afternoon. My name is Bijon Mishra. In fact, it is in continuation to what you just mentioned. You know, I was going to ask you that. Firstly, let me thank the President for getting the ambassador and getting us in touch with you. So it's very nice. There is a huge focus in the health sector now. And as you talked about acquisition or buying pharmaceutical companies here, I also understand that Samsung has been looking at very closely in terms of getting into, in a larger way, in terms of diagnostics and playing a role in the newly, announced program of the government, which is known as the Ayushman Bharat. So can you tell us anything more about how you are planning to get involved in the healthcare sector rather than only buying companies here? Are you planning to also invest in this big game changer which is going to happen in the health sector in the coming years? So any idea on that?
I heard about it, that you see, this health sector also is a very interesting item for the cooperation between Korean companies, and Samsung has an interest. As I understand, you invited Samsung CEO here, managing director, but he is so exhausted with the ceremony, in the opening ceremony for Prime Minister Modi and my president, and he went to the vacation. He was so tired, and, he couldn't come. And yeah, next time, please invite him and ask him directly.
Yeah. Next question.
Ambassador, this is Ramananda Sengupta from the New Indian Express. I'm just curious to know that during President Moon's visit here, I think the two sides agreed to work on a joint project in Afghanistan. Could you share some details on what kind of projects we're looking at?
Yeah, would you elaborate again, please? What?
I believe that Korea and India are now planning a joint project in Afghanistan during the plan here. What kind of projects are we looking at?
Well, you see, I think I can say that's a capacity building for the Afghanistan police. And Korea, India, and Afghanistan can cooperate each other. For example, inviting Afghanistan police forces to India, and Korea can help fund training this police force in India. This is a three-way kind of cooperation. As far as I know, that is the immediate item which Korea and India are going to cooperate.
May I ask the last? Yeah, okay, go ahead. Could you speak in English so that everybody knows? Thank you.
English. I'm Daisuke Sato of Kyodo News Japan. I have one question. As you know, today is a business partnership in India and Japan. Japan and Korea. In India market is very competitive. I think. So what's the strategy to win the Japanese and any other countries' company in the very complex and very difficult market like in India? So what's the,
I think that Japan at the moment is enjoying the best possible relationship with India. So Korea cannot compete with Japan. I know that, and Japan also with the overwhelming kind of financial resource, you are much higher end competing with Korea. So I don't think Japan be concerned about Korea's interest in Indian economy, Indian market. Japan is, you see, but the only one thing is that Korea has a real interest in India. We would like to have a genuine friendly relationship with India, and Korea needs India. And as you know, that Korea for a couple of decades, we had a very successful win-win relationship with China. Korea's trade volume with China 1 year is, last year it was 240 billion US dollar. Korea's trade volume with India is only 20 billion. So that's less than 1/10. So we have a lot of, I see, potential to develop between Korea and India. It's untapped territory. It's a new frontier for Korea. And we are happy that if Japan can think Korea as a competitor, but Japan is a much bigger economy, and you have a much resource to use than Korea. Huh? You don't need to afraid Koreans.
Ambassador, considering that we have a cultural relationship, a princess from Ayodhya was married to a prince in your country, and Buddhism is big in your country, and you want to take the bilateral trade from 20 billion now to 50 billion.
Yes.
You already have more than 500 South Korean companies operating in India. And how exactly are you planning to more than double the bilateral trade in less than 5 years?
You see, trade volume, government cannot, you see, make it. The business are doing that. Huh? So if investment between the two sides increases and business activities strengthen, then naturally it goes up the trade volume. So I think up till 2030, 50 billion trade volume is not impossible. You see, when we see our trade with China, we didn't think that trade volume will so rapidly increase. 240 billion US dollars is a big amount. It was a win-win game, not just for one side's benefit. So I think that Korea, India, if we develop items and we approach strategically, then it can be a win-win game for both India and Korea. The problem is sometimes if Korean companies just invest big money to Indian market, then Koreans some think that we are losing our employment opportunity. Yeah? But we cannot stop companies to move to other place because there is competitiveness is there. This India has a skilled, very skilled IT labor industry. So companies moving to India, nobody can stop it. So it's a very natural kind of progress. I'm optimistic.
Well, thank you very much, Ambassador Shin, for accepting our invitation and talking to a full house at the FCC. You know, as a token of our friendship, may I present you with a specially designed cup to celebrate our 60th anniversary. Ladies and gentlemen, kindly join us for lunch. The bar is open. You are welcome to buy your drinks. Thank you.
I've written a lot